Today's episode of This Week in MMO is brought to you by World of Tanks. If you guys have not checked out World of Tanks, make sure to head on over to gboffer.com/tanks.
Game Breaker TV.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to ArcheAge's, the show where you sit and wait to get in line to play ArcheAge. How you doing, everybody? It's TWIMMO, This Week in MMO, episode 203 for September 18th, 2014. I'm Gary Gannon. Joining me on the show, as always, it's Mr. Justin Kennedy, the JK Caster. Hello, sir.
Queue number 235.
Yeah, it's low, dude. You're going to be playing in like 2 seconds.
How did you get that low?
Yeah. I'm watching chat room, and they're just like, I'm at a 4,000. Troy Blackbird and Noob Fridge already joining us.
Not part of a giant gaming journalism conspiracy.
You're not? I thought everybody is.
That's what I'm in queue for.
Well, ArcheAge, ArcheAge is the big story, but let's talk about the crazy conspiracy theory. I mean, I guess it's not proven, right? I don't know. So the news came out this week that I don't even know who covered this thing. Some site I've never heard of before. But basically, they're saying that they exposed secret mailing list of the gaming journalism elite.
Elite.
Basically, what it goes into is what is that? I just like hear random. Who's that? Coltrane yelling? Oh, random ads and.
He's got videos playing all over the place.
He's got videos playing over the site. Hang on.
Yeah.
So basically, the exposed that there's emails going around that lets everybody know that there's basically an email clique of gaming journalists out there who talk to each other via email behind the scenes. And basically, get together and talk about what games they're going to push, which games they're not going to push, how they're going to cover certain games, how they're not going to cover certain games, what they do here. And they kind of all sort of seems like, this piece at least makes it seem as if they all kind of work together and kind of, corroborate.
That's what it says. It confirms widely held suspicions that video game journalists operate with one voice and collude on major issues to distort coverage of ethics violations and to support figures to whom they are politically sympathetic.
Does that? So I don't know. I'm actually more surprised. Like I was saying before the show, I'm more surprised that people don't. I guess people just don't think of these types of things. But I guess I'm more surprised that more people don't realize that probably like journalists do talk to other journalists. They're in the same industry. They all go to the same conferences. They all they see each other all the time. Like they become friends. Yeah, I can't imagine. I think it would be kind of crazy to think that these people don't talk to each other outside of. Yeah. But then I don't know. Is there some grand conspiracy where they're literally like planning and plotting how they're going to do this or take down certain games? I don't know. I didn't really see any kind of evidence.
The idea that you can take any 3 people from any group and take more than 3 people and put them together and think that they're all going to think and feel the same way is ludicrous. You're not being real as to the way the world works. You put that many people they're not going to have the same opinions of stuff.
I think what they're trying to get to is they're sort of saying like they don't have their own opinions and sort of like direction, is that they all coerce together and come up with this grand scheme plan and they just go along with it. That's kind of how this, isn't that, am I right, JK? That's kind of how they're trying to paint this, right?
It sounds like an email goes out to everybody and goes, all right, today's topic is this, and you are on this side of the line and we are going to bash these people. Go. And it's like, I think all the sites are going to write that same article now at once.
I mean, sometimes I do, sometimes it is interesting to see a lot of the same posts on same sites, but media organizations are all looking at the same news. I don't know. How can I get on this list? I'm not on this list. I need access to the list.
You need somebody to tell you how you feel about things.
Seriously, let's get a group together. The 3 of us. Let's talk about how we do TWIMMO. That's a list.
I mean, look at us. We're on TWIMMO, and we talk about all kinds of different games, and a lot of times we agree, but there have been several times where even the 3 of us can't necessarily agree. We have 3 completely different opinions on certain things. I mean, I didn't get into games journalism because I don't have an opinion on things. The main reason that I decided that I wanted to try this was because I had thoughts and opinions of games that I hadn't really heard, kind of put out before. That's kind of what got me into writing my own little blog and stuff. I don't know. It's just conspiracy theorists, man. You gotta love them.
Well, I love the comments are the best part of this. I mean, I'm looking in here. The very first comment you see on here is first. I think it's time to get the authorities on this. It's getting too deep and dirty and illegal.
Those are the best ones, and people think it's illegal. And you get
them all.
I guess I guess, and I know for a lot of people out there, like, we're laughing at it, but like, I kind of am because, like, I don't know. I hate to say, like, big business does way worse shit than gaming journalists talking about, like, Destiny before it comes out. They all do this kind of thing, I think. I don't know. It's kind of weird I'm saying that, but I guess I'm all not doing it, which is weird. Because I'm not surprised by it, but I'm not on some list, and Gamebreaker, I'll tell you right now, going to regular, I'm not lying, but Gamebreaker does not, like, at all talk to anybody about this kind of stuff outside of Gamebreaker. So we may talk about it internally and have a discussion about, like, hey, how are you going to, like, go out of subject, especially when they're really super, hot. But I don't know.
We don't email like freaking PC Gamer and be like, hey, what are you guys gonna do with this? And we'll just do the same thing. That's not.
Maybe we should be. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's the big issue. Is the Gamebreaker should be.
We've just been doing it wrong the entire time.
That's it. We're not in the click. We're not in the click. That's really what it comes down to. Doing stupid shows on Twitch like this. Just got nothing better to do.
Oh, conspiracies abound.
The answers will be revealed. All right, let's move on. I got really nothing else to say about this. You guys want to go check it out? The cover's all over the place, and we'll put links and stuff like that. I don't know.
This first topic was emailed to me to talk about.
Oh, exactly. Zing. All right, I want to talk about ArcheAge. Tell you guys about our sponsor this week really, really quick. I know it's early in the show, but I got to tell you about him because I love him. Harry's. You guys checked out the Harry's yet? Got a sick deal for you guys. $5 off with the promo code GameBreaker. All you got to do is go to harrys.com, pick out one of the kits, shaving kits for men. They got some great kits. I got one right here. They sent me one last week. Got the nice silver one. I love a good, I don't know if you guys do with the shavers. I mean, I like a good shaver with like a nice weight to it. I can't stand at all throwaway shavers, like the plastic pieces of junk to just rip your face up too. I really like this
I pay good money for mine.
It's worth it. You don't get all nicked up. You don't get all nicked up. You don't get all that razor burn underneath underneath here and stuff. I get all red. You gotta use a good razor. I talked about last week. I mean, I really thought when I got this kit that this kit that I got here comes with the razor. It comes with some shaving cream. It comes with a little case for the top of it, and then it comes with some extra blades. You got a blade on it. You got 3 blades. And razor blades are, like you said, they're expensive, man. They're not cheap. So I really thought that this whole package right here, and this nice little box and stuff, was probably going to be about $50. I really thought this was going to be a $50 price point. I was kind of amazed when I went to the site and they have the Truman set for $15. Like, that's crazy.
You can't even buy blades for that.
I was just gonna say, like, can you go to CVS and like buy like a shaver and some shaving cream and some extra blades and all that stuff for $15? I think it's more than that. If like you go to just buy like.
No, I think I just paid $18 for a pack of blades.
That's crazy, dude. That's crazy. You gotta go to Harry's. So the $15 kit, and you get $5 off with the GameBreaker promo code. So they got 2 of them here. That's the Truman kit, which comes with the blue. You go check it all out. They talk about all the different stuff, and stuff smells really good. Gotta smell good. The other, where's the other product? The other one, I think this one's like, this is the Winston set that I have. It's $25. $10 more. You get the nice weighted chrome handle. It's worth it. It's nice. Check it out. Go on over to harrys.com today, sign up, and make sure you use the promo code GameBreaker when you check out. You get $5 off, so it's a really good deal. We're really happy to have them on. All right, let's talk about ArcheAge. ArcheAge. Try on. It's finally released. It's finally out. It's finally here. Troy's been playing a lot of it. Justin has been trying.
I've been playing the Q boss a lot too.
So what happened here? So I'm here. Yeah. So what's happened? I'm hearing about long ass queues to get in, but I mean, is that with every MMO?
If every MMO was 6.5 to 7 hours worth of queue time, then I guess yes. I've never experienced a queue this long. And I said something in chat earlier that Justin strongly disagreed with. I said that this was the longest queue time ever. Like literally last night, 6.5 hours before I just finally said, screw this, I'm just going to play League of Legends ARAMs until I go to bed. Justin said that he's experienced something like that with longer than that with Rift, but I didn't experience anything near this. With
the initial queue times for the early access for Rift, that when the head start was like 10-hour long queues until they started adding all their servers and everything on top of it and things. But it was really long queues there at the beginning. They're really long. And I went up and looked at some others right now and found some other numbers. I'm not sure these are 100% correct and accurate, but Final Fantasy XIV AR, that had 10-hour queues, someone's saying. Remember, that was horrible to get into.
That was a bad one.
To start. You couldn't even get into a queue.
Yeah.
It was like a queue to get into the option.
I think that number's pretty accurate.
Yeah, WildStar there was 5 to 10 hours on some. There were some servers that were empty that you could get in right away, but there was 5 to 10 hour queues on some of them. World of Warcraft, 5 to 24 hour queues for the first month, apparently. Mm-hmm. And SWTOR was like 2 to 5 hours. So SWTOR had the shortest, but they also added in like 30 servers right away.
And the thing is, I guess, I'm not going to come and save everybody over a Tryon here, but I mean, they can't, like, gamers, I get it. Like, this is like a no-win situation, right? Like, yeah. Tryon wants you to play their game. Like, there's no way they don't want you to play it. And you want to play their game that you've been waiting for and paid for if you bought a pack and all that kind of stuff. The problem is they can't just overload, and turning on servers for MMOs is not like turning on servers like, I want a WordPress site. I click a button. I need more cloud storage. I just slide this slider. It's not that easy. Like server technology for an MMO is like, it's a big deal. It's purchased far in advance for them doing estimates on how much they need. But they also can't overestimate. They can't build out the server structure for an MMO like based on the initial push of like the first week. They have to do it over like
let's think of games that's done that. What games have done that? Rift did it, SWTOR did it, WildStar did it. Oh, server merges.
Yeah,
right, that's what happens because they open up with too many servers, and then all of a sudden all these queues go away in a week or two, and then you've got empty servers, and that's exactly what happens. You get server mergers within 6 months, and then the game is dead, and everybody calls about bad press, and it's goodbye, go home.
Yeah, I try to tell people if you're on a server with a queue, you are actually lucky. You're going to be pissed off and mad for the first week, but by month 1, month 2, your server's still going to feel like it's populated, and you're not going to be crying and whining about that. And for ArcheAge, it really is it's a harder situation for them because this whole land grab situation. If they pop up too many extra servers, then people claim all this land. They can't simply merge the servers because of the claimed land situation. They can't just merge them because then one server is going to lose all their land, or whoever was the oldest is going to keep theirs, and the other person newest is going to lose theirs. So someone's getting screwed over in that manner. So
now we're being the voice of reason here. We're not being gamers because we're sort of sounding like developers.
Need
like
to play
making
game
excuses.
now.
Like, hang on, Hartman's calling me. All right, Scott, what do you want me to say? All right, okay, gotcha. I'm not on that email chain.
Shouldn't that have been an email?
The email said, "Be nice about queues."
Let's be honest. It's far worse press coverage later on when you end up shutting down some servers and merging servers, because then people, oh my God, the game's dying, than it is to have a long queue at launch. You're going to get some people who mouth about it and complain about it now, but I think you probably, in the long run, of course, you're much better off money-wise. You're not spending as much money, and later on you've got exactly the amount of servers you need. But in this day and age, it just seems like every time somebody even mentions some type of server merger, which happens in almost every game launch nowadays because they add so many, that just ends up being worse press. So, I mean, in the long run, I think they're making the right decision here. As much of a pain in the butt as it is to log in and see that I'm 4,292nd in line for the next 7.5 hours.
So there was two things that actually did make the queue part kind of bad, I guess. If you were a patron, you were a founder or whatever, and you subscribed, essentially, you were supposed to get into a patron queue. Apparently, and I don't know if they fixed this, but apparently before the actual launch date, when they had the early access or something, or maybe even on the launch date it was, I guess it makes sense there, people weren't actually being placed into the patron queue. They're being placed into the free-to-play queue that everyone else was being put into, and thus they weren't getting their priority status for paying. So they were getting mad about that. And then there was something else, like an item, and I can't remember what this item is, some kind of like chest or something like that in game that's supposed to, I think it's supposed to be like a RNG type thing. But it was bugged and giving everybody like this high-end prize reward or something like that, and allowing them to like basically offset and throw off the economy right at the beginning of the game.
I know the patrons definitely were getting put into the free-to-play queue at first. I'm pretty sure that that's been fixed now, because I know last night several patrons that I play with were getting in within an hour, logging in after I had tried to log in. So it sounds like, at least to an extent, some of that's at least been remedied. And also, like, some people who had paid for patron status weren't getting patron status in the game, and some people who did not pay anything were logging in to find themselves with 30, 60, or 90 days worth of random patron status. And I know a lot of folks are trying to take advantage of having those extra labor points while they could. I think those have probably already been stripped for the most part, but they did say that they were aware of that and were going to remedy that as well.
So, Troy, have you gotten any time in the game? You've gotten some time in there, right? You've gotten and actually played since it's launched, correct?
Yeah, usually what I do is I'll hit the login
Don't
queue
log
about
out
5 when I come into work, and then just let it sit in queue. And usually around 1:32 a.m. when I start getting ready to get off work, I'm usually getting ready to get in, and so I sit and play for 4 or 5 hours after that. And so that's the ritual I go through to play ArcheAge.
So let me ask you this then, Troy. How fast have you ran out of these labor points while playing?
I'm a free-to-play player. Right now, I think the most labor points I've built up so far has been like 200 or 300. So
fill me in on this, because this is a bit of a controversial subject on the labor point. So for people who aren't playing or haven't gotten into this yet, who wants to can kind of run through this, how the labor point system works? Because this seemed to have come at kind of a late stage in beta, like almost right before launch, as they kind of implemented the system. Correct?
Yeah.
It's basically the Korean model for limiting your play, isn't it? Like, so you get these certain points that you build up over time of just apparently got to be logged into the game for free-to-play people, but you build up these points, and then you use those points to be able to do actions in the game, certain actions and things, and pay your taxes.
What do you mean actions?
And all these different things.
You mean like abilities?
Sure, you get the what specifically can you do?
Harvesting crops costs labor points. Building things like houses, farms, etc. cost labor points. Opening certain just drops in the world, like coin purses and stuff, those cost labor points. At one point in either beta or alpha 1, opening, like if you got like a reward, a quest reward for gear, you had to expend labor points to open that. Thankfully, they did change that. I think where the controversy came in, the switch that you're talking about right before launch, was there's a potion in the cash shop that lets you instantly restore like so many labor points. And right before launch, the number of labor points that potion restores got, like, I forget how much, like doubled, or maybe more than that. I forget exactly how much, but it got increased for the same amount of money, and that's when people really started screaming pay to win, because it gone from getting a handful of labor points, for spending some cash, to getting a whole bunch of labor points for spending some cash, and a lot of people got up in arms about that.
They also made it, because you're free to play, so you get like out 5 points for every 5 minutes, something like that. I think the patron people basically get double the points you gain while playing, and they earn the same rate of points that you earn while playing. They earn offline
while
as
they're
well.
logged out. Yep.
So
and you start with 0
for 3 days and come back.
You start with 0 when you first log in. You've got 0 points. So you have to, if you're free, you have to play to build those up. Or if you're paid, you need to log in one time, and then you can start building them up, logging in. You don't do anything at first. You just quest. And if you want to build something like a farm or something right off the bat, you just kind of quest around and wait for your labor points to build up. Or I guess pay to win and hit that cash shop. Now, I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to call that pay to win yet. I want to play more and kind of see more how it affects things. So I'm not calling it pay to win. But, I mean, it's either just have time in the game or be a patron and then you earn, like you said, double when you're in, and just as much as free-to-play players do.
So let me ask you this. Here's a question. When you do get in, if you stay logged in and you're just like AFK, are you gaining labor points just for being in the game?
Yes.
That's why they keep it.
Why would you ever log out? Why would you ever log out? So
This is
no
the
one's
problem
going to
with the
log out of
queues.
ArcheAge.
Yep.
Everyone's going to stay logged in just to keep getting labor points. So that's the problem.
This is
that's the
part
issue.
of the problem with the queue. As a matter of fact, last night I did not intentionally even do this, but I was playing and I decided that I was going to run to town and get I needed like some caffeine, so I went to go get a Coca-Cola. And I did not log myself out because I was up on the phone or something. And anyway, I left to go to town. I was gone for probably 15, 20 minutes. When I came back, about the time I pulled the driveway, I was like, oh, I forgot to log my character in. I'll probably be logged out and have to get back in the queue. I'll walk back in the house. My character's still standing there. I'm like,
They're not
with
even
the queue
kicking.
problems they got, how did I not get AFK booted? Especially as a free-to-play player, you'd think they'd have just booted me instantly. Like, you haven't moved for 30 seconds. You're gone, buddy.
So chat's saying 45-minute AFK timer.
Wow, that's too long. With the queue problems they've got, that's entirely
Michael.
too long. That you should
Well-
not be able to sit there for 45 minutes AFK. I understand why the players are doing it, and the players are going to do it as long as they can. But no, 45 minutes. Come on. No wonder you got
think
freaking queues that are as long as they are.
Do you
It's
guys think it's
45
possible the possible labor point issue also just stems from, like, I mean, we're only a couple days into this thing, so, and obviously we're having lots of trouble logging in. I mean, is this possibly something that gets like evened out once server queues get evened out and people can just play a little bit more naturally, and it sort of starts flowing with you a little bit naturally as you're playing the game, and you don't feel completely always like you're in a deficit that you need to reach into your wallet? I mean, obviously if it is a cash shop item, they do want you to somewhat expect to feel like you're in a slight deficit at all times where you wish you had.
They
a
at
little
least
bit
want to
more.
strongly suggest you purchase this item.
Sure, and I mean that's okay. It's a free to play game. You
See,
need some things to purchase, but
yeah,
now
I mean-
does it stop you from playing the game?
It hasn't me so far because it doesn't really affect questing and just kind of doing that thing. But when you start wanting to do the real sandboxy stuff, yes, if you don't have any labor points, it is absolutely going to affect that because you can't do any sort of crafting or anything like that, build boats or anything without labor points. And like you said, maybe in 30 days from now this will all even itself out because part of the problem probably is that you start with none. The very first moment you log in, you have 0 labor points and they start building up. So maybe that's part of the problem right now and why everybody feels like they need to be so AFK and sit there for as long as the game will let them without booting them because they're trying to go from 0 to get enough to do something fun. There's all this cool stuff to do in the game, but you can't do it till you got enough labor points to do stuff. So I mean that's part of the problem.
Interesting. Well, I guess in one thing at a time, right? I guess they got to like really first get these server queues in shape, and then possibly look at the labor point system. So have we heard any official comments from the Tryon team on either the server queues and some possibilities of what might be going on behind the scenes?
Was
I
it
think
last
they've
night or
increased
the day
server
before?
size.
Yeah, they've increased server size by. I think NA was 10% behind EU, so they increased NA 10% to match, and then they increased both another 10%, they said. Within, 30, 45 minutes later, they made another announcement. But it seemed like the second day of the queues were twice as long as they were on launch day for me. So,
What does that mean, anyways? I mean, they just suddenly increase the server size. Like, does that mean now it's probably going to be higher ping because there'll be more stressed servers, or we just suddenly like, well, you know what? We're going to reduce 100 people on here, and we don't want to let them in right now. We'll open this server. and
I
make it
mean,
bigger
how
here
much
2 days
extra
later.
space have you got on these things before it really starts affecting the experience when you are in the game? Because that's the only thing worse than sitting in a 6-hour queue is getting in the game, and then it's so laggy you can't do anything. I mean, that would be the only thing that could make
has
that
that been
any
an
worse.
issue? Has it been so packed that it actually has been experiencing a bunch
There
of lag?
have been a few spots here and there that got a little laggy for me, but other than that, and maybe 1 or 2 little quick crashes of the client in like 2 or 3 nights that we played now, it hasn't actually been too bad. It's been reasonable when you're in game.
So, quick question on this: labor points apparently I know is used partly in effort to combat some of the people creating free accounts to gold sellers and stuff. But I also heard that you have to buy an item from the cash shop or be patron status in order to use the auction house at all.
I'm not sure. I haven't gotten into it. Was my understanding that you had to either purchase something or have patron status to post something on the auction house, but you can still buy, but that may not be right. But I haven't done anything in the auction house yet, so I couldn't tell you.
Well, what's the consensus overall from everybody who's been playing the game? You think ArcheAge has a hit here in North America? I mean, it's definitely a different type of game, a lot more sandboxy, a lot more, it's got this really like hybrid, I guess you could say, of questing and sandbox elements. Do you think it's going to be a hit? What are people loving it? I mean, it's pretty high up on the Twitch charts right now.
I was going to say, you look at the amount of people playing it, trying to play it, it sure does look like it's got a lot of good things going for it. The sandbox elements are a lot of fun, and I think that's going to be a big draw for a lot of people. My biggest complaint other than queues right now is just it's something that just irks me, and it's the fact that there's no open tapping in the world. You're literally competing against every other player out there to get each little mob when you're out trying to grind quests, and especially on like when you've got a quest to go kill this one specific named mob. Sure, you can try to get people to join your party to do it, but 9 times out of 10, these people just hit no and then just try to beat you for the tap. That feels so 2008 and
Come
unnecessary.
On, dude! You don't love fucking mob grinding? Come on, mob grind! Just stand there for hours. Wait till somebody else hits it first.
Fine,
like, ah!
But sitting there waiting to tap this one thing that spawns every couple of minutes, that's too old school for me. I've been there, done that.
It's hardcore.
I'm glad most games have moved on from that. Let's just put it that way.
It is kind of an old, somewhat antiquated system. Yeah. It feels
maybe in Korea, maybe that's just the way things still are over there. Maybe it's just having open tapping would be so unusual that they never even thought of it, and that's why it's like that. I don't know, but here in the now, I don't like it.
Interesting. All right, well, we shall see. We'll keep up on the ArcheAge and see where we're at next week. I don't know. Maybe by next week at this time, maybe you'll actually be at 1,149 there, Justin. You'll probably just be still waiting. All right, next up, Notch. If you guys don't know who Notch is, you're probably living under a rock. But he's the guy who created Minecraft. Yes, Notch. The guy who created Minecraft and wears all the fedoras. He is leaving Mojang after the sale to Microsoft, so it is confirmed. It is a done deal, apparently. Mojang, the company, is being sold to Microsoft for, get this, $2.5 billion. So he just made a nice little payday. He can buy some more hats.
Jump change.
He can buy a couple more hats. I should have brought
a copy of Minecraft.
I actually have a kind of yeah, you can get a copy of Minecraft.
For every device. I mean, that game is on so many things now. It's amazing what that game has become. All the devices it's on, all the mods, it's just a thing. It's like epitome of our generation almost. I mean, that game is just so far beyond what anything else is at this point.
It's true. Now, he kind of put out a statement out about why he was leaving, saying it's not really for the money. He didn't do this for the money. Bullshit. $2.5 billion, like zero factor. I just want to stay sane, guys. Yeah, with $2.5 billion in the bank.
When he announced his buyout price, well before $2 billion.
Good for him. There's nobody in their right mind would not sell their company for $2.5 billion who did this. I mean, but
especially you're getting $2.5 billion for a company that's already made as much money for you as that freaking company has.
Yeah,
I mean,
let's go start another small, nice little indie company. So the reason he says he's leaving is, and it does. There's some validity to this. Is that he finally realized he came to a realization that he has become sort of a figurehead or a concept more than a person at this point. And with with all the craziness that's going on the internet right now in the gaming world with Gamergate, Phil Fish, and like all this like crazy stuff, the mud's just being thrown around all over the place. He wants to remove himself from that, and he feels like he's kind of not even close to being caught, I think, in the crossfire of some of the other people right now, but he is somewhat, because he can, things get directed at him when Mojang is not two guys in a garage anymore. I can tell you that. Like, it's much bigger than that, and he kind of doesn't want to lose his mind, I guess, basically what he's saying. So for his sanity, he's leaving Mojang and selling.
I do, and I feel like for people who aren't understanding like how big the money this is, obviously $2.5 billion is huge, but in perspective, Disney purchased Lucasfilms for $4.05 billion. Yeah. So Minecraft, basically Minecraft itself, is worth more than half of the entire Lucasfilms industry of everything they have there.
Kind of a big
that's
deal.
crazy.
Kind of a big deal. So, of
That's
course,
a
the
little-
internet goes nuts. The internet just blows up, goes
I
crazy.
get so mad.
He was. I mean, he was. I mean, even if he is not the person, which he's not, there's tons of indie developers before Notch. In recent, like, the last decade, he has become like the poster boy for indie cool. I'm just a nerdy gamer developer dude, just like everybody else playing video games at home. And he became that guy. Like, it became this phenomenon of not the big evil EA corporate empire thing. It was just, oh, it's Notch, and he just made this game, and it's really successful. So,
You know what I want to see right now to go along with this? This is perfect. Comcast should buy out all of Total Biscuit's videos and just feature it on their stuff only.
I mean,
just be
well-
like, we're gonna go along with this. Let's make the internet mad.
well, here you go. You want to talk about like conspiracy stuff, right? Without mentioning names and stuff, but talking about the other stuff before about the stuff going on. 1000% I can tell you without a doubt, there are tons of YouTube channels out there that look completely like Troy's channel or JKK's channel. Neither of them are part of this. But they're 1000% like funded by like EA or somebody like a major company like that.
Mhm.
And they're backing the entire channel. Yet it just looks like it's, a normal channel. So it's not so crazy that they'd go out and start buying, and, approach somebody like Total Business and say, hey, we'll pay for everything. Like, we'll buy it out. Here's, a couple $100 million or something like that. So what do you do? I don't know, but that already kind of goes on. You just don't know it. Again, it's the shady side of business.
But I mean, as far as for Notch and stuff, I mean, this is a business. He created something that he was just doing for fun. He got this ridiculous game that came out awesome for people, and it's grown to be something huge. And guess what? It was a startup for him, and it made money. He sells it like any other startup does, and does something else. It's normal. I mean,
Yep.
I guess the video game industry, these people are I think we latch on to our developers a bit more than need be, and expect them to react exactly how we want them to react.
Well, him especially, like I said, he became that guy. Like, he became the guy. And then every indie developer like looked up to him to the point that we're just like, how can I get how do I get the persona of the Notch? Like, Notch has this persona in the industry of like what he sort of symbolizes. It's much greater than just like him as a person. And I think that's what he wants to get away from, because I think he realizes it's kind of a scary place to be in when you're just like a symbol.
Well, I think a lot of it's been put on him that he hasn't done anything. He created the game, and he put it out there, and he's made some statements here and there, but it's not like he's created some kind of entire document on how to run the indie business and be amazing in games or anything like that. I mean, people have put this like idolization on him and created this image that they want to see.
Well, be interesting to see what happens with the Minecraft once Microsoft takes over. It'll probably be implanted in my brain at that point. That's just going to go straight for the brain. Just forget devices. Just it'll be everywhere. All right, next up, this YouTuber, Alexander Wax. I don't know, I'm butchering your name. Sorry, but he was swatted. If you don't know what that is, that's when idiots on the internet call a SWAT team to your facility while you're playing a video game. We've talked about it before. Well, it happened again. So he got swatted. SWAT team busted in, rolled in. Swatter basically, I think, called him in and said that he was the call was that he was suicidal and he was armed. That's what got them in there. So they busted through the door. What they find? They found some weed. 30 grams of marijuana. Shocking. Gamer smokes pot. How about you just
anyway.
if you want to set up a sting, why don't you just like go to Twitch and just start plucking off every channel and just showing up at every one of their houses because they're all high.
This can't be the first dude who had a SWAT team bust up in his house and he had a little sack of grass stashed somewhere. There's no way this was the first dude. He's just the first one that got busted.
So here you go. You got sent to jail for possession with intent to sell. What did we talk about like 2 weeks ago? We said someone stupid is going to get caught in the crossfire for something stupid, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of something stupid. He's getting busted for something that's legitimately illegal, but he's getting caught in the crossfire for something really stupid. It's exactly what I said was going to happen. Glad nobody got killed. We said, you know, somebody might get like hurt, but here you go. He's so they did drop the charges though, correct? I mean, they did drop.
Yeah.
Due to the circumstances, they dropped the charge.
Yeah, because it was something I forget exactly what the 100 reason was, but like it was basically gonna fall through court and stuff because of the situation that happened. Because of
basically they were saying because it was a prank and because the cops didn't have a warrant when they barged in, that even though they had a shot of letting the evidence go to trial, that it was most likely they realized it was probably going to get suppressed in court, and then they would have zero case just because of the circumstances, you know, in which it was found. So they were just like, you know, why even waste the time and the money and the energy to try to prosecute it? And they just,
but again, right here we go, and I'm gonna but loophole, right? Loophole. It got dropped. Good for him. I'm glad it got dropped because the kid doesn't deserve to go to jail for like 30 grams of pot. I mean, that's ridiculous. But here we go. Like what got dropped this time? Again, he's caught in the crossfire. Something really stupid. It's gonna happen. What if he was? You know, I don't know what state this was in. But what if he was in some state where just like they are just gonna go hard ass and out, and this kid is going away, and we're gonna fight this thing? And what if this kid ends up going to jail for like, you know, a year, 5? Well, you know, it's not like it hasn't happened. There are people in prison for small amounts of like pot,
minimal amounts. Like the least they could put them in jail for, they put them in jail for.
We're gonna make an example of you.
Exactly, and it's gonna happen. Here's just the writings on the wall. I don't know, man. People got to stop.
And this is a very, very light example of what could go wrong in a situation like that. I mean, this is like the least dangerous situation that could have occurred with something going wrong. Now you're going to escalate to somebody ends up legitimately hurt out of one of these eventually. It's just a matter of time. We talked about that last time. It's just a matter of time.
Kid gets scared. Remember, he's got 30 grams of pot. Runs for his drawer to throw it in the toilet. Cop thinks he goes for a gun, shoots him. Kid's dead. Yeah.
Now his roommate was also involved in this. His roommate got arrested as well with him with the same charges. So like he could have also. He's basically another victim to this. Whether I don't know whose pot it was, if it was his marijuana or his roommate's marijuana, but either way, they both got taken in and charged because of some kid's prank.
Troy, you got to stop smoking that pot and getting swatted, brother. Just stop, man.
I got to quit. It's hard to give up, man. It's hard to give up.
It's a gateway drug, man. You know what it's like. It's gonna
lead gateway drug.
It's going to lead to
devil.
We should start a stop SWAT movement. You know what'll happen? Well, I'll do that, and then they'll just start swatting us like crazy.
Yeah, you'll get swatted like every day of the week for a month.
Is swatting like the drug of internet? Like this is where it starts. You start by calling in SWATs.
I'm afraid talking about it on the show because I'm like waiting. Like we do a show about it, we cover it, and I'm like, when are they gonna knock on the door? Like I'm like waiting. I don't want that day to happen. It's ridiculous, but it's like scary as shit. I really don't want SWAT team pointing guns. I've had a cop. I never had a SWAT team, but I did have a shotgun by a police officer right in my face once.
Oh, gosh.
That was scary as hell. We were on a commercial television shoot, and we were in Hollywood, and we were on a soundstage, and they were shooting inside the soundstage, and then we had a craft services area, which is where you eat food and stuff and hang outside. And they were shooting inside, and we were just outside, and the entire thing was tented off. So there was a tent up above us, and you couldn't see, from the air, you wouldn't be able to see anything. And we're just hanging out there, and all of a sudden we hear like a little bit of a tussle, and I kind of I'm standing there talking to somebody, and I literally turn like this and look around, and this African American woman cop bolts around the corner and just looks at me with a shotgun cocked about this far from my face, and is like, "Don't move." And I'm like, I have not moved.
Yes, ma'am.
Not gonna move a muscle. What's the problem? So what happened was somebody apparently around the corner held up a pawn shop with weapons, and they threw helicopters up in the air to start looking for people. It's what they do in Los Angeles all the time because it's so flat. They can find people with helicopters, no trees and stuff. And when the helicopters kind of were flying over our area, they said, "Hey, there's a whole enclosed area. There's a canopy. We can't see anything. Like they might be there." So then they had to put ground troops, coming in. But holy shit, was I scared. Don't want that to happen again.
Do y'all still have a channel out there? Wasn't there a channel one time that was dedicated to nothing but helicopter police chases and stuff? Was that
I
just an
wouldn't
urban
doubt
myth?
it. Yeah, no, the probably is true. I know you can get like alerts on your phone for car chases and stuff. Like they happen out here like a couple times a day. They're on TV all the time. It's like I don't know what it is. There's car chases every day. There's a couple freeways in LA that are just like completely straight for like long periods, and I don't know what it is about LA, but people just like to run and then they just start going, and they can shoot it really easily with helicopters. So like they'll just follow them down the 5 for like an hour.
Well, why is there always bumper to bumper traffic when you want to go to work, but not when you're trying to if you're trying to escape the police? Don't worry about it. Just get on the freeway. It'll be.
That's
fine.
why they don't want to stop. Like there's not traffic right now, guys. I gotta get through here.
All right, I'm actually really excited to talk about this next game here. Real quick, I want to take a quick break, talk about our sponsor for this segment of the show, and that is World of Tanks. If you guys have not checked out World of Tanks, seriously, get on it. Go to gboffer.com/tanks, download it. It's completely free to play. So while you're sitting and waiting for other games to work, because they don't right now, you could be playing tanks. Load up some tanks, get a couple matches in. Like I said, it's completely free to play. It's not pay to win, which is awesome, and super competitive. I mean, it's a ton of fun. I've been saying it forever. I keep this on my desktop all the time. It doesn't leave my desktop just because it's great. I just like always having it, and I just love jumping in and kind of shooting around some shooty tank stuff. And the 9.2 update is really kick-ass. 9.3, it's getting the stuff that they're releasing right now is just awesome. All the new graphic engine updates and the physics stuff that's coming that they're kind of building up to. Definitely give it a shot if you haven't already. Check it out. Oh, and I should mention, I should have was in a car, but I almost forgot. For new players, not existing, but new players, use the invite code GBTV, and you're going to get a bunch of free stuff. Free stuff. I don't have a list in front of me. I should. But you're going to get like a tank, some gold. I think you get like an extra slot. There's like 5 or 6 things to really get you off to a good start. So sign up and use the invite code GBTV and get some free stuff. Get you kicked off a good tank and some gold. You could buy some things in the shop and all that kind of stuff and get your motor running. All right, let's talk about Battleborn. What is this game? All I know is I checked it out today and it looks awesome. The big question is Battleborn a MOBA? That's what everybody's asking. So it's created by the guys who created Borderlands, Gearbox. It's an FPS, so it's not top down. It's not like isometric. It's an FPS. But it's getting a lot of like people are just confused by this game, I guess. Like what's the big confusion? Is it because it's like a map base and there are like some sort of objective-y kind of MOBA things? I mean, even like RTS mentioned, and I don't even really fully understand how that comes into play. Like they don't know what to call. I know Gearbox doesn't want to call this game a MOBA though.
No, they don't. And I think this is happening a lot right now. It's not the only game that this is happening to. Gigantic is also another game this is happening to, but the problem is that in this industry, when we hear MOBA, everyone thinks League of Legends and Dota and Smite, and those 3 games, and any of the other ones, Dawngate and all them. Top-down, bird's eye view with buying items and grinding creeps every once in a while for 15 minutes, and then you finally get into the game. And it's become a very negative term. It's almost like a term that if you say this, it's another League of Legends game. That's what everyone's thought is. So the developers obviously want to stay away from that. They don't want you to go that this is another League of Legends clone. And it obviously isn't. I mean, it can't be. It's first-person shooter to begin with. You can't even say it's going to be similar combat-wise. But what's happening is people are seeing it, and now they're not just associating the viewpoint and everything, but they're also, for people who are looking at it, I mean, multiplayer online battle arena. Well, that's what you're doing. It's 5v5. You're pushing through lanes. You're killing some minions, and you're fighting a thing at the end to win.
Okay, so they're taking a little bit of the mechanics there and like kind of utilizing some of those things, but it doesn't look like it plays. Look at this. I've read it. I'm like, this can't play anything like LOL. Like, there's no way that this is gonna, any way, shape, or form, feel like League of Legends.
Yeah, I think like Justin said though, I think the problem is the term MOBA, multiplayer online battle arena, is a very broad description. The problem is over time we've come to associate that with one specific thing. It's a lot like when you say MMO a lot of times, it's hard for games that would normally kind of fall under the umbrella of MMO. They don't, because we've come to think of very specific, like World of Warcraft things as MMOs. At the end of the day, this does look like a multiplayer online battle arena, but they don't want to call it that, and probably a lot of the players aren't going to want to call it that, because when you say MOBA now, it's just, like Justin said, you just think League of Legends. And that's obviously not what this is, even though it does very obviously share some of the aspects of that type of gameplay as far as kind of the core of what's happening around you. I was watching the Game Informer interview where the guy who had been playing the demo sat down and interviewed a couple of the devs, and throughout the entire interview they kept saying, it's not a MOBA, it's not a MOBA, but the interviewer who had actually been hands-on in the game, his questions kept being phrased as if he were asking about some type of an online battle arena, not a League of Legends game necessarily, but an online battle arena. And even the way that he phrased his questions tells you that that's probably sort of how it plays, at least a little bit. And their just absolute determination that it's not going to be called a MOBA lets you know that it probably is sort of an online battle arena MOBA type game without being, the top-down isometric view.
Well, and I think this is where the term MOBA is officially starting to become a problem term to be used, coined by Riot, obviously, in order to make League of Legends different from Dota and try to make it their own. MOBA just kind of got accepted and started being used for every other game that was like League of Legends or like Dota. And now that term is just so broad and general that it has both a negative effect and applies to every single online PvP or every single online battle game in general, that it's kind of like, okay, maybe we need new terms now. Maybe that's really what it is. I mean, this is an FPS game, and I guess people just don't associate.
How many terms do we need? We need more terms? I don't want to remember more terms. Are you kidding me?
What is it they're trying to call this one? Heroic shooter, I think is the term they're trying to call it.
Heroic shooter. Are we going to put a tag on the website that says heroic shooter now? How about
I'm
fun?
pretty sure I've seen that 2 or 3 times in quotation marks on either the official site or the official announcement or something, heroic shooter.
Well, and if we don't get rid of
we just call it fun.
So there
you go. Is it a fun game?
Fun.
Yeah, all right, I'll play it. It's a fun game.
Fun.
I mean, I don't know. You don't. Okay, so it's a MOBA. We have to get the term MOBA out of people's mind that it means one thing, I guess. I
don't know why it has like a negative connotation, but we've seen the same thing happen with the MMO industry, right? We just went through the whole thing of Destiny trying to say we're not an MMO, we're not an MMO, we're not an MMO. And granted, it's something. It's something different, but it's funny how all these companies don't want to claim any of the genres. They don't want to be a part of the genre. There
have been games that were so very obviously traditional MMOs that at least at some point in their PR campaign tried to spin it that we're not an MMORPG, even though they were making a very traditional what we think of as an MMORPG. So people just don't want the negative that comes with the
Elder Scrolls was kind of like that, wasn't it? Wasn't it ESO? ESO didn't really want to be called like an MMO, did they?
I think ESO at first, and I may be wrong on this, but I seem to remember at some point the Old Republic tried to spin that a little bit. I may be misremembering that, but yeah, I'm pretty sure ESO at some point early on, before we started getting into alphas and betas, tried to just flat out say we are not an MMO when that game very. So
let's just confuse everybody and call it something that doesn't even exist, like a heroic shooter. Hey, asshats at Gearbox, drop heroic shooter. Seriously, drop heroic shooter. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
I would be trying to explain how we're expanding on the MOBA genre, because that's the type of player you want, is it not? Is that not the player base you're looking for? Is a MOBA type player base?
I don't think it is. No. First of all, even Blizzard calls theirs a heroes brawler. Theirs isn't a MOBA to them. It's a heroes brawler, but I refuse to call it that.
So
but
Hots. I'll keep hots.
In Gearbox's case, they obviously have a huge crowd of FPS players, Borderlands, and you tell them, "Yep, we're creating a MOBA game," they're just going to dismiss it. I mean, a lot of people will dismiss it that don't care about MOBAs and just not come try the game, even though it is a shooter game that has the mode that you see in League of Legends like that. All it is a defend and destroy mode, basically a tower defense mode or whatever. But I guess it's a perception thing that people see. And then when it comes to reviews, as much as Metacritic is stupid, it's still relied on by a lot of these companies and used. Destiny's a perfect example of this. Polygon did a review on Destiny, their first initial review on it, and they kept referring and comparing it for the idea of an MMORPG alone, and their rating was almost based on the idea of how it rated as an MMORPG and not how it rated as the game itself.
Both of the guys started their reviews out basically saying like, "Where's crafting? Where's World of Warcraft? Where doesn't have it? Doesn't have it. They didn't make that.
Stuff like that.
So when you say and why people say where are the items? That's what they do. They come in the games. Where are the items? I don't know where do I buy these items now. It's not a MOBA.
I don't know. The game looks hella fun. I watched this video and I was just like, I want to play this game. Like this game looks like a lot of fun. I really want to play this game.
It's just a PvP game with a heavy emphasis on strategy and.
I mean, those mechanics work, right? Like the mechanics of like the minions of going through them and building up things, and then the towers, and then having to take that. Like those, you know, if you take away that, what do you want to go back to? Just another capture the flag? Like we've done that. Okay, done. Like I don't need another capture the flag.
They're trying to go less the solo experience and more the team experience.
When does this come out? Do we have any idea?
November, maybe?
I didn't see anything.
I don't know. Check it out. Battleborn. Gearbox's Battleborn. It's a MOBA.
There's nothing wrong with variations. We need more choices in that genre of game. It's okay. Call it what you want to. It's your game. Call it whatever you want to.
Sid Vicious in the chat room calls it a hero shooter lane pusher game. I think that's probably better than heroic shooter. It's a new genre. The hero shooter lane pusher game. That's the new genre we're going to call this game. All right, last up for the week. Let's talk about this really quick. EA, the Electronic Arts, the big evil empire that everybody hates. So you know they got his new CEO. The new CEO laid out a 3-year plan called Players First. That's his plan. So
everybody's gonna scoff.
Come on, you gotta give the guy a chance. You don't even give him a chance.
Fun. So
what if he really is trying?
He's been there a year. He had his chance.
How old is the CEO? Because the last one was only there for like a year, wasn't he? And wasn't his first thing he said is, "I am going to change Origin for all of you and finally make it look good and run for the player."
Remember that?
Yeah, the previous CEO or somebody in maybe taking over the Origin side of it, they came out whenever some new person EA hired on, like, we're going to change Origin and go back to making it for the player. And it's like, right now it's broken, looks just like a marketplace, and it isn't functional. We're going to make it for the player. And there has been 0 changes to Origin.
That's exactly what it feels like. It feels like a marketplace. That's all Origin feels like. I have to log into your marketplace to play your games, and I can't sit and pretend like I don't have some games in Origin and I've never logged into Origin. I mean, it's on my desktop right now, but that's exactly what it feels like. It's just there's none of the aspects of it that you could say are good things having to log in to some DRM like that. It's just a giant marketplace. That's all it is. If they want to sell you more crap, that's all Origin is right now.
Yeah, I really don't know anyone.
Well, they're going to be Players First now. So
I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt, Benny.
Tell me you're going to. Tell me how. Because that's the one thing we've never gotten out of EA.
Here's what he says. He says, the first, he says, I quote, he says, the first is to reestablish a player-first culture in the company. The focus is on the player and the people enjoying the entertainment you produce. That is the most important thing, and I want to get back to that, which is very true. So the first thing they need to do, and EA is huge. This isn't like 5 guys in a garage, like I said before. Like they've got studios all over the place. You've got to first hit the groundwork to get everybody charged back up and kind of on the same playing field. Like everyone, down to like QA people and everyone. So that's what he said to do. Then he says, here's another quote. He says, every person at EA has to accept responsibility for deepening and nurturing the relationship with the player. He's trying to go after like core values. I don't know. I'm liking this guy. You guys are hating on him. It's easy to hate EA though.
I'm not hating on him. The idea sounds good. Your implementation is always non-existent.
I guess what it is, we don't believe it as gamers. That's the problem. We don't believe it.
Prove me wrong.
Just do it.
Yeah, prove me wrong. That's all you got to do. I'll shut up. Prove me wrong.
Put out a good game. Have it not be broken. Have the servers work. Don't piss me off. And change Origin. And maybe we'll play nice.
The last quote's my favorite, because EA is one of the worst at that.
He says, and I quote, when they give you $20 for something, they expect something that is worth more than $20 in return. You always have to get to the point where they feel like what they get in return is greater than what they put in.
Now let me tell you how I really feel, EA. When I give you $20, I feel like you're going to expect me to give you $20 more here pretty soon. That's the truth. That's the truth.
I feel like EA wishes that all of us were just a bunch of Sims that they had control over. And they could just tell us when a new game comes out, go buy this now.
Yep. Speaking of the Sims, that's one of the worst offenders of this. When I give you $20, I feel like I'm going to give you $20 more. Speaking of truth, people. Speaking of truth.
Troy Blackburn, follow him on the Twitter at Noob Fridge. Maybe after the show, he's going to keep this rant up, I think. He's going to keep his EA rant going on Twitter. Go check Noob Fridge because he's going to go crazy.
I wasn't even mad at EA until right now.
Right now, he's going to unleash it in about 5 minutes when we get off this show.
He's going to start the not your sim hashtag.
Exactly. Justin Kennedy, follow my JKK Kennedy TV, and of course right here on TWIMMO on Thursdays at 5 PST as we do the show live. And you can follow me at Gary Gannon, follow Gamebreaker TV, and I don't know what this is, but it's coming really, really soon. See you next week.